Knowledge podcast, mind unlocked. With every episode we cast real talk, real tools, wisdom on the fly. Tune in, geek out, reach for the sky. FPK, future proof knowledge podcast.
And hello, welcome today. This is Jashon Mills with the Future Proof Knowledge Podcast Show, coming to you live from Seaside, Oregon. You may notice it's just me today. I don't have all of my lovely regular guest and host. Miss Olive Hickmott is having her wisdom tooth pulled out, and Mr. Alan O'Donoghue is off and running around having a good time. Anyways, we are here and we are going to get into the podcast show. Today we are we had a big plan. We had a plan. We had one direction. So we're going to go in that direction, but we're going to freestyle a little bit. So just bear with me here and be prepared to have a different type of session. How about that? All right. Now that I don't wet my old whistle here. All right. So there's a vision of parenting that people see. And then there's a version that people don't. The one behind closed doors, the one that takes constant adjustment, patience, and honestly, a level of strength that most people don't realize. Parenting a neurodiverse child isn't about doing things better. It's about doing things a little bit differently. And a lot of times, the hardest part isn't even what's happening at home, it's feeling like the world doesn't understand it when you're doing it. Today, we're going to talk about those realities and why empathy matters more than people think. So this is actually pretty close to home for me. I have a 13-year-old son. Holy cow, he's getting old. 13-year-old son, nonverbal autism. And a lot of these things that we do, like trying to just get through the day, it's not typical of what you would imagine before you have kids. Like I said, we all have this ideal, this version of parenting, and then it's a little bit different when you have a neurodiverse child. Things aren't quite straightforward. Things don't always seem to be exactly what they are. So some of the things like sleep, um, it's not just a matter of, hey, it's time to go to bed. It's a matter of, hey, it's time to go to bed, and this is going to be a 2.5, 3 hour process. So there's a little bit more preparation and going into it. And one of the things with that is you're trying to avoid having as many meltdowns as possible and make the transition into that sleep pattern much more smoother and less stressful for all involved. And then just imagine if you have siblings and other things like that, it just compiles on top of some of the extra challenges. And this is something that we're just kind of thrown into, and there's no real rule book or parenting guide. Everyone says they have the answers in a way, and there's a few books out there, but I mean, there's no real guide to like point each parent of a neurodiverse child in the right direction, because every situation is 100% different. What works for me and my son may absolutely be the worst thing you can do with you and your son, or you and your daughter, or your child. So it's very difficult because just like not neurodiversities, there are so many differences. Unfortunately, some people think that when you say a child has autism, that, oh, autism, I know autism. This person has autism, this, and they're all the same and they all fit in one bucket. Well, like that's why they call it a spectrum, because there's so many different variants, and one nonverbal autistic child will have totally different traits and triggers than the next nonverbal autistic child. And this goes even beyond just nonverbal. This is with any neurodiversity, ADHD, dyslexia. Not any two people are the same. So as I ramble on, because I'm not used to going solo and I usually just talk a lot, we're gonna roll into a lot of the challenges, a lot of the real work that happens with parenting and stuff. It's not really what's happened. It's not stuff that happens in the world's eye. It's stuff that happens at home behind closed doors, and it's not always visible to everyone else. So mornings can feel like a full-on operation just to get out the door. Sometimes sleep isn't always consistent, so everyone's always running on low energy. Sometimes small, like be something small like a wrong shirt or certain sound in the morning, or even the change in a routine can turn into a very big emotional moment. Maybe turning on the lights too soon, or the water not being warm enough. Um, with my son, he has this trigger that whenever I cough or clear my throat, so if I he loses his crap. He gets so pissed. He used to, as a younger man, run up to me, and it was unfortunately it was cute, but by laughing it got out of control. But the first few times it was pretty hilarious and quite cute. He'd run up, look at me, and slap me in the face. He did that for about a month on a regular occasion, and then it wasn't funny anymore because his slaps started getting a little better and more on target. And yeah, it's not fun getting slapped in the face every time you cough, and I cough a lot. So we had to change that, and that was a redirection behavior that took a little bit of time, and we changed it from, instead of slapping daddy, how about we just give daddy kisses? Um, and that's a lot better than getting slapped in the face. But yeah, so there's different things that can happen, just small things that can really trigger a big fork in your day. So it's quite tricky. Kind of like walking on needles at all times. Just take your time, make sure this is good. And I mean, you could ignore it and just go about it your own way, but it's not going to be comfortable for the household. Um, so something small, like wearing the wrong shirt, wrong sound in the house, or even a change in the routine can turn into a big emotional situation. And it's not about the bad behavior. It's not about bad behavior. It's more about overload. So then you've got things like food sensitivities, where meals are simple, and sibling dynamics, where you're constantly trying to balance attention, fairness, understanding. So it's a lot, and it's happening every single day. So all parents have struggles, and all parents are trying to get through the day. It's just a little extra compounded when you're dealing with neurodiversities, and trying to walk that fine line there. Um, and then you take all that stuff that happens behind closed doors, and all the things you're trying to work through, and imagine just a morning where maybe not everything went well. There was triggers, there was outbreaks, and you got things to do. You got to go out, got to hit the grocery store, you got to go over to Wally Mart, or do whatever you got to do for the day. So you take all of that and you bring that into a public space. Now you're dealing with noise, lights, crowds, things that can feel overwhelming and get stressful really fast for certain individuals with neurodiversities. So something like a supermarket or a restaurant, which seems simple to most people, can actually be a really intense environment. Um, and when a moment happens when a child gets overwhelmed or needs, um, sorry about that, gets overwhelmed or needs to leave quickly, what makes it hard is the way people look at it. Um, the judgment, assumptions, you're not parenting correctly. But what they don't see is everything that led up to that moment and how much effort it took just to get there. So oftentimes that's one of the biggest parts of the day. Is like you try to make it through the morning, try to get everything together, get your day started. You do have some trip ups. Now you're just trying to get some food in the refrigerator, some clothes on your kid, go to the store, get the stuff you need. For me, it's usually replacing tablets and devices. And that's a real thing. And I wouldn't make one recommendation. I would say right now, the best thing going is Walmart. And I'll tell you why. I've got probably 6 of these sitting around the house right now. 6 cell phones, all busted screens, busted up. Handful of tablets, easily 20 broken devices sitting around this house. So a lot of Walmart trips, and you do as much as you can to make sure those trips are going to be as smooth as possible, but shit happens. You show up, it's loud, a lot of people. One of the things I notice is carts, the wheels, uh, making sure you grab the proper cart so you don't have that wobbly wheel when you're going down the aisle. But what are some of the things we can do to kind of predict, well, not predict, but to kind of set ourselves up for success? It's a learning process. Some of the things that um, work are headphones, some nice good headphones that'll block out the sound, that takes out some of the distraction there. One of the things I find that I just do instinctively now, I thought I'd try it years ago, and it's just something I do. We always park not right. Well, one of the reasons I have a big truck, so we don't park close anyways, but even if there are park spots, we still park a little further out. Why? So that during that walk to the door, some of that anxiety and energy can be let out. If there's any flapping or quick sprints that have to happen, we've got that distance to get it out before we get to the door. Um, Other things is bringing preferred snacks with you, maybe a sensory toy or something like that. Um, but making sure that you have all these things lined up and setting yourself up for success makes those journeys a little bit easier. No matter what you do, though, there's one thing that's never made easier. It's always frustrating. Everyone has their way of dealing with it. Um, some people's are more outwardly than inwardly, but it's the judgment and the looks on people's faces. So that's something that you can set up yourself for perfect success. You can have all the right tools. Stuff still gonna happen, and when stuff happens, you've got three type of people. Got the person who doesn't care. They got their own stuff. They're not worried. They're just moving about their day, walking past you. Excuse me, got to get back. Then perfect. No problem with that. No problem with any type of with any of these three types of people. I'll preference that. The second type of person is the person who knows, they relate. They're um, if they don't have a direct family member within their household, they're one degree of separation from somebody who is, and they understand, and they give you that look like, do you need a hand? And you good? I understand. A little smile, a little nod, a little wink, something like that. Those are always really good situations. Best case scenario. Then there's situation number, the third type of person. That's the type of person that they don't have to even say anything to you. You can see it all over their face. See it all over their face. Just in that side eye, that look, just and again, lots of people handle it different ways. Me, I'm more of a take things head on type person. Even if you don't say something, but you give me the wrong, the right wrong look, I'm gonna call you out. But you got a problem with it? You ain't never seen a kid with autism. Anyway, so yeah, people take that different. People react differently to it, but those are the three type of people. Most often, I run into the first two type of people: the people who just are oblivious, don't give a shit, they're going about their day, and it doesn't bother them. Second person, within one degree of separation from someone who also has some neurodiversities, and third type of person, either they can't control their face, they can't control their words because some of the stuff they say is just ridiculous. And yeah, so that's where we go on that one. Um, So let's see. I got notes here. Let me get back to my notes. So we're moving on. Okay, yeah. So notes here that so we're getting into regulation. So a lot of these moments that happen, whether in public or at home, to some, they think it's just bad behavior. It's child who hasn't been uh, disciplined or who's spoiled and who gets what they want. And I get it. I mean, walk through their aisle, your kid up screaming or hollering because they want something. Who knows what it may be? Is it bad behavior? Well, when you're dealing, and that's the thing, people don't know. They can't tell the difference unless you really stop and you look. If you stop and you look at any situation, you can identify and you can you can make a pretty good judgment call and see if you really look what the situation is. But even then, that's poor judgment because no matter how good you think you are, you never know what that person's been through that day. So yeah, makes things kind of difficult. And it's typically not bad behavior. It's typically going to be something like anxiety, sensory overload, or maybe there's something they want to communicate, but they can't communicate, like my son. So making sure they have their device so they can communicate with their speech and device if that's the way they communicate. But all those things that can be mistaken for bad behaviors are primarily ways of trying to get what one of their needs are, either a need for less sensory input or a need of a tangible item, but not being able to explain it, a need to communicate. So what are some of the practical tips that we can do? Things like parenting ahead of time. So when you're at home and you're getting ready to go out, go ahead and get yourself, if it if you need to create a preparation checklist to like start to get yourself in the mood and get yourself in the groove, then what we do is we go ahead and set up a preparation checklist. And it can be one that's kind of dynamic, so it shifts. It's a preparation checklist for going to the grocery store, preparation checklist for um, going to the clothing store, or for going out for a day at the amusement park, or a preparation list for going to the park or the swings. Every different scenario requires different preparations. So you want to make sure you make a list. Once you make a list and you do it a few times, it'll just be instant. You'll have a bag prepared that pretty much covers any situation. And then that will help you when you're in the real world, in the environment, when things are happening. You'll have your tools to count on, but just understand that your tools don't always work. Sometimes they just have to have their meltdown. Sometimes they just have to let it out, or it's just the way it is sometimes. So one thing I would say is let's just keep it simple. When being the parent of a neurodiverse child, just know that things aren't going to be easy, and there are a lot of additional challenges. But the number one thing is preparing yourself, understanding and observing what the different potential triggers may be when you're getting ready to go into different scenarios, whether it's prepping your kid for school, prepping them just to go out for the day, going to grandma's house, whatever the scenario may be. Make sure you prep properly. Some of the other tools you can use is like visuals, maybe a picture of a family member's house. Hey, we're going to go here, and then a clock in 10 minutes. So you prepare for those transitions. You let them kind of build that up. So leaving the house for some may be a 5-minute process. If you need to make it an hour process and go through certain steps, then that's what we do. Um, there we go. I lost my mic and my headphones there for a second. So yeah, so that's where we go there. So what are some other tips are not tips, but tools we can use when going out. So let's see, I think I mentioned some headphones, fidget items like little spinners and chewies and things they can squeeze and stretch. Um, Something that's easy to carry around or just stick in your pocket when it's not in use, or whether it's something they use on a lanyard. Um, Again, I mentioned preferred foods, sensory toys, and fidget items, headphones. Um, if they're a tablet or phone child, one that likes to surf and look on YouTube Kids and all the different uh, Netflix and stuff like that. Maybe you can bring a device and use it just for meltdowns, or just for redirection if you're out. Uh, there's really no limit to what you should put into your go bag, because when you're out in the situation, whatever it takes to bring the stress levels back down, whatever it takes is whatever it takes. So just be prepared. Um, but anyways, let's see, where do we go from here? We've got some quick tips and tools. Um, what I would say is this is going to be a short podcast. A lot of the stuff when you're trying to prepare to go out or prepare for school or prepare for anything with your child, again, it's not about looking at these different things as behaviors, as bad behaviors. 90% of the time, they are going to be trying to fulfill a need. But also keep in mind, there is that other 10%. Just because a child has autism doesn't mean that they're never bad just to be bad. You know what I'm talking about if you're out there. Anyways, so I think we're going to keep it short. Keep it right there. Yeah, I don't have much left for you. So how about some laughter? All right, all right, all right. Boom, boom, boom. And with that, my friends, this will be the shortest podcast you've ever had, coming from Future Proof Knowledge Podcast and crew. Again, my name is Jashon Mills. I hope you got something out of what I rambled on today. I guess the final thing I would say is you're not alone in this. Your child isn't giving you a hard time. They're having a hard time. Don't look at bad behaviors as something they're doing to you. It's something that they're feeling right now. And we just need to acknowledge that. And the progress doesn't always look the way you expect it to. Sometimes you're making progress, you're expecting one thing, but take the little wins. And it's absolutely okay to do things differently than your parents did, or differently than the next parent, or differently than your friends do with their children. It's your child. You do it the way you need to do it for them. If there's one thing to take away from this today, is you're not failing. Parenting a neurodiverse child isn't about perfection. It's about learning, adjusting, and showing up in ways that work for your child, even if they don't look for anyone else's version. If even if they don't look like anyone. Hang on a second. Let's redo this. Live, cut, retake. If there's one thing to take away from today, it's this: you're not failing parenting a neurodiverse child. It isn't about perfection, it's about adaptation. It's about learning, adjusting, and showing up in ways that work for your child, even if they don't look like anyone else's version of parenting. And for everyone else watching or listening, this is where empathy comes in, because sometimes the biggest difference you can make is simply understanding that there's more going on than what you see. And that's all I've got for you today. So this is Jashon Mills with future new this Jashon Mills Jashon Mills with the Future Proof Knowledge Podcast Show. Everyone have a good day, and we will see you next Tuesday with a full cast and crew.
FPK, Future Proof Knowledge Podcast, Mind Unlocked. With every episode we cast real talk, real tools, wisdom on the fly. Tune in, geek out, reach for the sky.